cannot be debated that our world will soon run out of fossil fuels. This means that our future is very uncertain and depends entirely on whether or not we prepare and give ourselves time to transition from our dependence on fossil fuels. As a result of the inevitability of fossil fuels running out, our future can go one of two ways. Either a future where we do not prepare and society falls to chaos and oppression, or a future where we transition to a society that can be sustained independent of these resources. There will be no more luxury items such as shampoo, computers, and cosmetics. Large-scale transportation will be impossible, and life will become much more community-based, with local governments being the primary source of law and order. Planes will no longer be used to fly people across the world. Cars that transport people and goods around the country will become obsolete without fuel, thus the distance they cover will no longer be reachable. Houses and families will return to an almost feudal-based society again, where they grow and make what is necessary to sustain themselves. Food delivery will no longer be possible, and grocery stores that once imported goods from all over the world will no longer be able to do so. Without large-scale transportation to connect areas, the government will be able to exert much less national control, and the countries we have now will cease to exist in the form that we know them. There will be no more public services such as mail delivery and garbage disposal. Hospitals will only have issues giving care due to a lack of supplies and medicine. Some power will be available due to limited access to other sources like nuclear, hydro, or wind power. These methods are expensive and limited, so communal areas will no longer have power sources, which will affect lights, public water fountains, bathroom facilities, etc. Wealth will be a huge factor in influencing how much power you have because all these sources, like electricity and heat, will be privatized. With the lack of policing force by the national government, looting and hoarding of goods such as food, water, and other necessities will be common, and societies will be controlled by people with wealth, strength, or any weapons left over from the age of fossil fuels.
In contrast to a world that is suddenly without fossil fuels, we can prepare for our future and meet it head-on. Although a society without fossil fuels will be different, if we allow ourselves time to prepare and transition to a world without these resources, we can still thrive. Society today functions with different areas being responsible for the production of different resources, goods, and services. However, in order for us to create a sustainable community, our organization of society will have to change. As of now, we have separate metropolitan areas of city and more isolated rural areas of countryside. These communities coexist, and yet they are separate, being responsible for different products and parts of society. Rural areas have fewer people and yet are important in regards to a large amount of the world's agricultural production. Cities, on the other hand, have large populations, yet they rely on the products from other areas to sustain the people who live there. Without fossil fuels, our future communities will need to be self-sustainable. They will not be able to rely on the transportation of goods to supply any missing necessities. These transition cities, that we've aptly named farm cities for their reliance on local agriculture, will need to be confined to short distances that can be traversed by bike or horse, and in these local areas all goods will need to be transported by cart. Public services such as schools, hospitals, libraries, and others will be located in the middle of the farm city where all the people can have easy access to them. There will also be smaller biking communities within these cities in which people can easily travel from one family's house to another. These communities will have one planting field shared by the 50 to 100 families located within the specific biking area. On an individual basis, families will live in self-sustained apartment buildings of 3 or 4 families to a complex. Waste will be converted into fertilizer, as well as a finite source of methane for heat and cooking. Water will be used for irrigation, and photovoltaic panels on the roof will collect solar energy for small light fixtures. Also, handmade goods for items such as clothes and household amenities will become the fashion of the day. A mixture of the once isolated aspects of rural and urban we see in our society today, these farm cities will become the new normal in a world without fossil fuels. Overall, the elimination of fossil fuels from our society is a reality that we can no longer avoid. We must prepare for a world that can survive independent of the resources in order for us to continue to thrive. Only with preparation and proper transition time, our societies can become locally based, self-sustained communities that can exist and prosper without a reliance on fossil fuels.